plays. He was called the best athlete on the team. He's going to remind me, I think, a lot of a bigger Malik Mustafa.
All right, so here we go. In black, it is the first team defense and the second team offense. In white, the first team offense and the second team defense. That's how the teams are split up here today. And of course, in terms of scoring, is the black team won the toss and they have deferred. And the white team off and running, and they're not going to tackle here early on, so they're going to blow the whistle when they decide that player might have been down. So they'll start it at the 30-yard line here for the white team. And that's Devon Claiborne, who we just talked about right at the start. A junior running back who last year had 586 yards on the ground, 5 touchdowns. And to the quarterback with Hank Bachmeier, the senior from Murrieta, California, and the transfer guys out of Louisiana Tech and then Boise State, kind of the front runner, if you will, here right now. Let's talk about the quarterback situation as his first pass is caught here on the play by Horatio Fields.
And here's the deal. When you look at this team, quarterback was a big deal last year. Okay, that was a position that they thought they were going to get more out of. And quite frankly, it just didn't happen. So you get in a spot where you put other guys in. Michael Kern comes in, plays pretty effective, gets hurt right away. I mean, and that really dampers you as a team because you make a move, and especially at that position, Mike, you feel like you have to make a change again. So it's going to be interesting. With Kern being out, I know that's a real damper, but Hank Bachmeier's played a lot of ball. He's been in a lot of different offenses. He's been coached very well, and he can rip it. So excited to see him today as he makes a beautiful pass to a guy in Horatio Fields, who we think is going to be really good.
Yeah, and Emac, you bring up a really good point in that the quarterback position was pretty much a disaster for them last year, but a disaster in some very basic ways. As we talked to offensive coordinator Warren Ruggiero, he said it was just a distribution issue, that by a certain point the tight ends are getting annoyed, the receivers are getting annoyed because the ball's not going where it's supposed to. I don't think Wake needs a guy to come in there, and we see Bachmeier go over the top with a real pretty pass. They don't need a guy who's going to come in here and make that throw every time, but they just need a guy who's going to make the right decision more routinely than they had happen last year.
3 in a row to Fields. Picked up an 18-yarder before that. That's a 46-yard touchdown for Horatio Fields.
And what you saw right there was a great job adjusting. You know, Hank is doing a good job extending the play, keeping his eyes downfield, and then sees his guy and takes a shot. You know, it was a little bit that Horatio maybe slowed down in his route, but you saw the burst, you saw the explosion to get into the end zone.
Matthew Dennis, who last year did placements and extra points. They're not wearing numbers, the kickers right now. Dennis was 20 of 21 on the extra points and 14 of 20 for field goals on the season. And 7-0 white squad here early, just underway in the 2024 Wake Forest spring game. And we'll take a timeout. Be back with more right after this. Welcome back to Winston-Salem. 7-0, the white squad on top here of the black in the 2024 Wake Forest spring game. Coming up in his 11th season for Dave Clawson, head coach of the Demon Deacons. The black squad has it here now from the 25-yard line. Mike Corey with Eric McLean and David Hale. Let's go back to that last touchdown. It was Horatio Fields, guys. He had 3 catches on that drive, 69 yards, and the big touchdown from Bachmeier.
Yeah, and this is what you want to see, a guy emerge in a spring game. He had a massive game last year. I think he had like 11 catches, but he's such a big target, and that's what Wake Forest has really been known for, wide receiver development and utilization of these big basketball-type players.
Yeah, it's funny. I was did the North Carolina All-Access practice for ACC Network with Roddy Jones and Wes Durham last week, and they were talking about, we did that Horatio Fields game, and we thought this guy's going to be the next big superstar wide receiver at Wake Forest. And, of course, it didn't pan out. But that's been Fields. He's just not been able to stay healthy and kind of put it all together on the field. But this year, I think Wake is really looking for him to step up and become the guy that Roddy and Wes thought he was going to be last year. You see the skill set there. You see the physicality that he brings. There's a ton of upside. It's just a matter, a little bit like Donovan Green, another guy that they're expecting big things from this year. Got to stay healthy, got to stay on the field.
Well, and Fields last year had just 5 catches for 54 yards. And, you know, you wonder, like, in these games here, of the spring games, Eric, how much, from what you see here in this game, how much translates into the fall? I mean, obviously with a lot of guys out, a lot of guys injured, it's not exactly, what you're thinking about, right, for next year.
100%. And I love that you brought that up because he had a great spring game. Why was he able to have that? Some veterans that didn't play last year, some guys that might have been injured, and the teams are split. And so you get more opportunity. Can you make the most of it? And the reason that we quite didn't see it translate to the fall is because they were stacked, man. They were 5 deep at wide receiver. A couple of those guys transfer, and now the door's open. Now it's your time. Can you make the most of it?
The quarterback here is Tyler Mizell right now for Wake Forest is black team, as the pass was caught. Now he's going to the sideline, and this one is incomplete. Previous catch by Jeremiah Melvin. This time he was looking for Ian Versteeg, and it's going to be fourth down here, 4th and 10, and the black squad will punt this one away. 7-0 White. White team has first team offense, second team defense. The black team is the first team defense and the second team offense here today. Ivan Mora was the punter last year for this Wake Forest squad. Averaged just under 42 a kick, 57 punts on the season. And this goes out of bounds inside of the 20-yard line. And coming up today, 3 more games highlighting our spring pass to Horatio Fields to get things started in this game today.
Eric, I'm curious your take on this. You watched Bachmeier. He had a really good first drive. Obviously, this is a guy who's got a bunch of snaps under his belt, both at Boise State and Louisiana Tech. But the other impact when you're evaluating a quarterback battle, when one guy's getting a lot of reps in the spring, the other guy, you really don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, that's the hard part, especially when you had some inconsistency from a year ago for the one guy because of injury and inconsistency, of availability. So with that, you try to give your best shake. This competition will go well into the spring into the fall where these guys are trying to make it happen. But the things that I'm looking for, if I'm a coach, if I'm a coordinator, is number one, consistency. Do you come every single day and bring it? Can you lead this team? Can you be the face of our team? The second thing is decision making. Are you turning the ball over? Are you putting the ball in jeopardy? Not getting it out quick, taking sacks, something that we saw early and often last year. And then the third thing is just distributing the ball, especially in this offense with these playmakers. You've got to know where to go, and you have to get it to the right guy.
Well, and one thing we're noticing here early on for the white team and the first team offense is that they're moving quickly here, guys. Bachmeier with a few passes in a row, and he's found Taylor Morin along with Walker Merrill, number 2, number 4, respectively. And then they just got the tight end Harry Lodge on this catch for a first down to the 35. And here's Claiborne. Second down and 11 here for the white squad. First team offense against second team defense, 7-0. Just under 5 minutes to go in this first quarter. Bachmeier on the rollout here. Let's see where they blow it dead at about the 41-yard line, so they'll give him about 7 yards on that play.
And you know what's interesting, Mike, on that play is, first of all, I love that he just made the decision to take off. But what you saw there is I love to anticipate the throw. Taylor Morin is an older guy. You can throw that when he's not quite looking because guess what? He's expecting the football. But what you're seeing is trust developing. These guys have to continue to work together. They haven't been together that long. And he gets to him the very next play.
And that, to your earlier point, Emac, that if you're going to have one quarterback gone for the spring, obviously you don't want that, but it's probably better to have it be Kern, who you do at least, you've seen him for years now. You kind of have an idea of what he's capable with. Building that rapport for Hank Bachmeier right now in a short time period after coming in from Louisiana Tech, I think he probably needs these reps much more than Michael Kern did.
Kern's a senior out of Orlando, Florida, and you talked about him, number 15 at quarterback for this Wake Forest team that's injured, unable to play here today. And Eric, how about in terms of the spring, for the fans to understand how many more, as you say, reps that you're getting in the practices? How much is that? What does that translate to in this time period.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, man, especially because of the way Wake Forest practices now. I was reading an article, and our guy, was talking to Devontae Gordon about how we practice so much faster now. Like, we're getting different reps. Guys are going in and able to soak it all in. He said, I wish I had that when I was a younger player, and think how much better he could be. And he's exceptional. He's an all-ACC caliber guy. But now that really is open for people to come in and to make things happen. And quite frankly, that's what you want, right? You want competition. You want guys stepping up and making plays. And that's what we've seen so far today from this White offense.
I'm really glad you brought this up, Emac, because this is one of the things I talked specifically with Dave Clawson about, is that especially in this age of the transfer portal, guys, if they're not getting playing time, but particularly practice time with the ones and feeling like they're being given a legit opportunity, they're out the door. So one of the things that Dave Clawson has been very strategic about doing this spring is they've broken up the squad, so they're running basically 2 separate practices at the same time to ensure that as many guys as possible are getting work. And a lot of that is about giving reps to the young guys, the freshmen, the redshirt freshmen, the guys who have not been out on the field a whole lot before, keeping them happy, because a happy guy is a guy who doesn't go walking towards that portal.
Punt time here for the White team. And into the end zone for the touchback. And now I'm with you guys. I mean, the times have changed, as we know. And trying to keep guys here, it's certainly a challenge, that's for sure. 3 minutes and 16 in the first quarter. Mike Corey, Eric McLean, and David Hale both on the field with you here today. New quarterback in for the Black squad. And
baby.
Catch all the way down the sideline. It's Jeremy Hecklinski, who is the quarterback, and Jaden Gerard is going to take it to the house for the touchdown.
Oh, my God.
They are very, very high on this freshman, Jeremy Hecklinski, and you just saw right there why. I asked Dave Clawson, you've started freshmen before, John Walford, Sam Hartman. Might you do that again? And he said, well, we didn't win a ton of games when those guys were starting. I think the ideal is not to see him so much this year, but boy, he keeps making throws like that. That may be a tougher decision than you think.
Well, here's the deal. It's going to be tough, to go against a Clemson and NC State, because I doubt they're busting on cover 2, covering the corner route there. Great recognition, though, Hale, to get it to your guy. You got to know who's running what.
And the sophomore Jaden Gerard from Seffner, Florida, with the touchdown catch and taking it the distance. And we are tied at 7 here.
And just who's the next guy up? Who's the next guy up to fill that kind of void of these basketball-type player receivers?
Yeah, when you look back at just the long history, Sage Surratt, Greg Dortch, Ja'Cory Robinson, I mean, they have churned out guys, and some of those guys, of course, Dortch and Perry have turned in nice little NFL careers so far, too. So it is, to your point, the scouting has been excellent in finding these sort of diamonds in the rough on the recruiting trail, and then the development on those guys. I mean, A.T. Perry is probably one of those guys that was as raw as they get when they arrived at Wake Forest, and then, he turns into a superstar. And again, the raw talent is one thing. As you noted, Donovan Green has got an absolute ton of it. And so if he's healthy, when you look with Walker Merrill, with perhaps Horatio Fields this year, they look to be very deep at that position again.
Pass over the middle is incomplete, looking that time for Fields. And we saw a few runs prior to that from Claiborne, who is obviously going to be the featured back this year, guys, as we do talk running back. So, he had 586 yards of rushing offense last year. It's a team that was 94th in the nation with just over 130 yards of offense on the ground per game. Justice Ellison is off to Indiana. He was the number 2 rusher. Then what about Tate Carney, who's injured and is not available, so we won't see him here today either.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, with great catch there by Merrill, my gosh. Beautiful ball, too, on the outside. Really good throw by Bachmeier. Hey, these quarterbacks are selfish, man. They don't want us to talk about the running backs. They keep making plays, as you see here. Just really good leverage. Great job keeping that red line, as I like to call it, on the sideline. And then the quarterback to put it where only his receiver can catch it. That's just brilliant. But to go back to the running backs, man, especially Claiborne, he's a guy that I think can take it another step, which I think he's already an ACC caliber guy. But you get him more involved in the receiving game, the kick return game, he's a weapon, okay? You want him to have touches and the things that he can do for your offense. The key is that alleviated by good quarterback play.
Yeah, and Eric, I think we've seen Wake Forest that has run basically a split backfield for the last few years. And that's one of the reasons that Kenneth Walker left to Michigan State when he did, was he wanted to sort of be the bell cow guy. Claiborne looks like he's going to be the bell cow guy. And one of the things talking to Coach Warren Ruggiero about him. He's really prepared for that role. So you noted that he can develop more out of the backfield as a receiver. His blocking for pass blocking plays has gotten much, much better since the end of last season and through spring. They view him as a guy who can be on the field all 3 downs now, which I think makes him a completely different style of weapon than even the very talented version of him we saw last year.
Yeah, that's being the triple threat back, guys. You're absolutely right. He had just 3 catches for 35 yards out of the backfield last year. We'll see how that develops this season. Bachmeier being chased. And will they give him that throw? They will say that he was tackled down. Now say incomplete. Good pressure that time from Branson Combs, number 21.
Branson Combs is a guy to watch in this game, a transfer from Southern Illinois, and Brad Lambert, the defensive coordinator, said nobody has been more productive this spring than Branson Combs. They might have a steal in the transfer portal on that guy. And that we talked about sort of finding the diamonds in the rough on the recruiting trail. Wake Forest done a pretty good job of that in the transfer portal, too. They don't take a lot of them. The ones that they do have turned out really well. You look at Kobe Turner, a guy who lit up the NFL this year as a transfer from FCS into Wake Forest and then on to the NFL for Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year honors. Not too bad. I don't know. That might be a lofty standard for Branson Combs, but he's off to a great start with the Deacs.
How about Matthew Dennis? Can he knock down a 49-yard field goal here? And this kick is on the way, and it is no good. Plenty of distance, though. Last year, his long was a 44. Back in 2022, his long was a 46. And this one, a 49-yarder that misses with 35 seconds to go here in the first. Artie Mack, up your alley, offensive line here.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for it. What took us
Talk to us.
9 minutes to get here?
Burying the lead.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. I mean, listen. You got to be honest with yourself, and in particularly, at the left tackle position last year, they just struggled. They didn't get what they're used to, and they've been, blessed and highly favored to have a guy like Zach Tom just be a dominant force there for so long for them and be so consistent. This year, they feel much better. Again, you swing a guy over in Gordon, who big-time guy, all-ACC caliber guy, has been named all-ACC, academic all-ACC, and he's a big dude. I mean, 6'5", 310 pounds. He takes up a lot of space. He has sweet feet, really good with his hands, and going to be an instant improvement there. It's the pieces around. That's what you need. You need all 5 moving the same way together and feeling really good.
Well, the worthwhile note there, EMAC, is
back in Winston-Salem, start of the second quarter in the Wake Forest spring game. Mike Corey upstairs on the field. Eric McLean and David Hale, who are with Wake Forest head coach Dave Clawson.
That's right, brother. We got a 4th member of the team, Coach. Appreciate you letting us be with you today. Really successful. I know you're happy with what you've seen so far.
Yeah, anytime you do an inter-squad, right, everything good is offset by something that didn't go well on the other side of the ball. So, you're excited to see, Hank hit Horatio, and then you say on the other side of the ball, how did the corner let the guy inside?
Right. Well, here's the deal. We're all offensive guys.
Hey, we're punting.
We're all
I gotta
offensive
make
guys.
Executive decisions out here while you.
Executive producer,
don't
coach.
leave it to me.
David, why don't you
Go field the punt,
make
David.
these decisions, then I can second guess you.
Listen, I guarantee you can do my job better than I can do your job. Let me ask you about the quarterback, because I know last year when we talked about some of the struggles, a lot of it came down to decision-making, doing the right thing, distributing the ball to the right spot. How much have you been pleased just in the decision-making processes that you're seeing Hank make out there?
Well, good. I think, anytime you evaluate a quarterback, right, you're going through what your teaching progression is, what his progression, are his eyes in the right place, is he going through the progressions the way he should in a timely manner? And then what are the pocket reactions when the pocket breaks down and there's an edge rusher? And that's why days like today are so important. In scrimmages and practice, so much of it's controlled. Now they've got to play out the game situation.
You guys have probably thrown it a bit more so far. Is that how much of that is by design? Were you kind of hoping to see how much these quarterbacks can give you?
Well, part of it is when you're going thud in the first half, it's hard to run the ball. And so, I think some of these tackles, you'd hope the running backs would break them. So when you're going thud, which we're going to do in the first half, and tackle in the second half, the defense kind of gets the benefit of the doubt, which makes it harder on the offense, right? As soon as it's two-hand touch, right, like that, I don't think that would have made a difference on that one.
That's good gang tackling there. That's getting guys to the ball.
How do you you talked about going back and forth, and listen, we're offensive guys. We love to see that offense, but how do you balance, not going too hard one way?
We needed that. Yep, we needed that, and that's you almost want those things to happen in a spring game. That, okay, now we've seen him throw a touchdown, now he threw a pick. What's the next series going to be like? So, and as a head coach, I'm not an offensive guy or a defensive guy, I'm a team guy. I don't care if we win 3-0, which we've done here, or we win 55-52, which we've done here. Afterwards in the locker room, they're all great feelings.
Let me tell you this. We know, they know, you know that you're an offensive guy. Practice would change when how we had success offensively versus defense. So I hear you. I'm a team guy too, but we all know in your heart.
That's not true. I'm as the head coach, whatever side isn't playing well, that's the side you're on.
We'll ask the guys. Don't worry. We'll ask.
When you get the questions about.
We saw that first touchdown that goes to Horatio Fields, and that's a guy who's had a couple of really good spring games over the years that hasn't translated necessarily into the regular season for myriad different reasons. What can that guy add to your offense this year?
A lot. He's had a very consistent camp. He's had flashes in the past, but he's done it for 14, now 15 straight practices, and he's really becoming somebody we can count on.
One of the things, I know you're big on having a sort of mantra for your team every year, and I know everybody remembers the ACC championship game season in which you had the good to great mantra, and players have told me that the mantra for this year is earn it. What does that mean to you, and how are guys earning it today?
Well, I think last year, clearly, we fell off. Backed our hand-us-back wins. We've got to earn every inch, every first down, and every win we're going to get. So, I think when you get to 7 consecutive bowl games, there got to a point that guys just thought it would happen automatically. And clearly last year we didn't earn it. And if we're going to be a bowl team, an ACC title contender, we're going to have to earn it every single day.
The interception from DeMarcus Rankin that was able to set this up for Team Black here as Hecklinski is at quarterback. And they're attempting to get in front here. This goes to Christian Green on the catch.
You got to make a decision.
I say go for it every time.
Two plays. I want them to have 2 plays, Coach. Let's go on the offense.
2 plays. 2 plays.
We
Get
do
him.
have control. This is amazing.
Afterwards in the press conference, why the hell didn't you kick a field goal on 3rd and 3 on the
Mr.
8?
McClain, what were you thinking?
Answer. There you go.
We only need one. That's why. That's why.
Looks like a genius move
Come
now.
on. We only need one. We only need one.
Listen, Dave, the other thing before we let you go, for the folks that are watching, I know you talked a lot about some of the struggles from last year. You're certainly not going to put all of it on the guys who left, but keeping guys and retaining your veterans is such a big thing. What's the sales pitch that you're giving to your fan base now about how that has to work?
Well, I think you can clearly look at the 22 season of who could have come back and who didn't, right? And whether they transferred to another school or went to the NFL as a free agent or a late-round draft pick. In college football today, those are the guys you have to have the ability to keep. And I think this year, whether it's Devontae Gordon, Jasheen Davis, fifth-year guys, sixth-year guys that could have gone to the draft as a later pick, transferred to another school and probably gotten a really healthy NLI deal. We're now in a position to compete and keep those guys. Never going to keep them all, but we kept way more than we lost, and we certainly didn't do that.
It's leading Team White, first team offense and second team defense here in the spring game at Wake Forest. Back in Winston-Salem, Mike Corey along with Eric McLean and David Hale. They're both on the field, and they're with wide receiver Donovan Green right now, guys.
That's right, Mike. Appreciate you here with Donovan Green, star wide receiver. We were just going back and forth. I know you want to be out there helping your team and what Wake Forest means to you, man. Can you just talk a little bit about your experience here and why you love this place so much?
6 years ago, 2019, I chose this place because, it felt like home to me. The coaches did a great job recruiting, and made this place feel like family. You know, it's 35 minutes from Mount Airy, where I'm from, so it's close to home. My family's been able to come to, you know, most of every event that we've had, and, you know, throughout my journey, you know, I've had a lot of, you know, ups and downs, but with that, you know, the hard process of having to rehab, you know, they've been with me through the journey, and, you know, they've helped me get better, and they're going to be behind me, you know, moving forward, and they're waiting for me to be healthy for this season. They've done, you know, an amazing process. You know, they've been behind me the whole way.
We just heard Coach Clausen talk a little bit about, in the modern era of the portal and NIL, kind of holding on to your talent is also a little bit of part of the problem. How much did teams come after you, or folks talking to you, and what makes you want to stay here for another year?
I mean, the whole NIL process is kind of, you know, it's wild. You know, if you get engaged in it, you can kind of lose yourself in it. But I didn't personally put myself, you know, in that position, considering, you know, I felt like this place is, you know, meant for me. This is a place I want to graduate from. This is a place I want to leave my name and my legacy. So I didn't really, you know, feel like even embarking in a journey like that. So, and, you know, I've been injured, so I've really been focusing on getting healthy for this team, you know, put this team in a position to win a championship. So I'm really focused 100% on that.
Yeah. Last one for you, brother. The wide receiver position at this university has been so good, so special. How has that brotherhood continued with this next group of guys?
I mean, I've seen a lot of wideouts through here. We've obviously got a lot of new guys that need to step up this year. We got Walker and Horatio, two guys that need to have a good camp moving forward. They've had a good spring, but it's definitely a culture. I mean, when you walk in the room, we hold ourselves to a high standard, considering the people who've been here before us. And moving forward, you know, I'm gonna try to keep that and relay that for the people behind me, so they can keep moving that forward.
We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Can't wait till you're healthy, man. Appreciate you.
All right, guys, so Donovan Green there, who's not in action today, but we'll see in the fall for sure. The top wide receivers for this team. And right now at quarterback, it's Tyler Mizell here for Team Black. That leads it 14-10 over Team White. They're at the 42-yard line. Last series where they got a touchdown, set up by the interception from DeMarcus Rankin. And on the ground, Mason Andrade, who was the one that caught that touchdown pass. And, you know, guys, when you heard Green there a moment ago just talk about this, and I know it's always up for discussion whether it's better to stay somewhere, to go somewhere. I mean, to work on your game and to get better, and to think it's not always better somewhere else. And I know it's about the money sometimes, but it's just nice to see some players just sticking with it and saying, you know what, I can do what I want to do and get to where I want to get from where I'm at right now.
It's refreshing, to say the least, man. And again, it's an interesting time that we are in right now in college football. But to see a young man like that values this community, that values this place, values this education, quite frankly, when what Wake Forest can provide for you 30 years after you play your last snap here, it is fun to see. I appreciate that. And that's a high caliber player. This isn't just some Joe Schmo. That's a 4-star, really good player that has had unbelievable flashes against Clemson, against NC State, Miami's, those type of caliber defenses. He's that type of player, so I love to see it.
Yeah, and, you know, I think everybody points to, if you're a Wake Forest fan, the one that stands out is Sam Hartman leaving after 5 years here. And Dave Clawson said, look, we had no way of keeping Sam Hartman. He had an opportunity to go somewhere else. We had $0 in our collective at that time. And it was a little bit of a wake-up call, I think, to some of the Wake Forest donors to just say, who had said, like, yeah, we're Wake Forest. We do all these things really well. We don't necessarily need to keep up in NIL. And Dave Clawson's point is, no, everybody's got to play the game a little bit now, and everybody needs to keep up a little bit.
What a pass here from Bachmeier to Taylor Morin, and he converts it for a gain of 35 down the sideline. Another incredible catch.
Yeah, look, this is a very difficult catch. To catch it over your shoulder that way, looking the opposite way, that is a heck of a ball player.
5 catches for Morin here today. 13 of 19 is Bachmeier for 164 yards. He's got a touchdown and the interception on the previous drive. Now goes over the middle again for Morin, and he's well defended by Rankin, who had that interception.
Yeah, and Hank's going to want that back, man. If he threw that just a little inside, a little bit lower for his guy, that would have been a big-time play. But, again, these guys are developing. I love what you pointed out, David, about if you wanted a guy to not be in there, this guy's who you want. You want him to be able to develop this trust, to be able to develop these reps because he's so new. Just had a wheel route against a linebacker coming out for a touchdown. 2 misses in a row here, but he's going to grow from it. He's going to learn.
And that's a great point, Emac. And I think Clausen alluded to this a little bit as he was talking earlier. You want to see some adversity, too. If it all goes smoothly, that's not really a good sign either. You need some space to learn.
Absolutely. And the mental aspect, how do you react?
And
you
again,
just threw a pick, and now he's making a good drive here.
Exactly, particularly at that position more than anything else. And I think that was a bit of the frustration last year is there was such a mental issue with the quarterback last year. And I think you want to see how does a guy have a failure and come back, and everybody else responds to how he responds to that.
Earlier today, or yesterday I should say, they named the captains for this upcoming season. Taylor Morin is one of those captains at wide receiver. You got Nick Anderson, a defensive back, with Jasheen Davis on the defensive line. Devontae Gordon, offensive lineman, is also Luke Pettibone as well. And then Kevin Pointer on the defensive line, all captains here. The pressure from Pointer, and got the sack there that time, number 91. And pretty darn good. Those are the 6 captains for 2024 for Wake Forest.
Yeah, and what an honor to be named that. And you just saw one of the guys there, Jasheen Davis, the things that he brings, man, the war daddy attitude, the swagger. It's so funny when you scout these guys, when you watch tape, at maybe other players, and then you're like, who the heck is 30? Where'd that guy come from? I remember, 3-4 years ago seeing him as a young cat, super high motor, very explosive, and just a guy that never stops. I think we see the best form of him this fall and cannot wait to see what that is for opposing quarterbacks because they got to keep their head on a swivel.
Let's not forget about what the defense has done here. They've had 3 sacks so far. Brad Lambert, the defensive coordinator for this Wake Forest squad, and nice job so far in this first half by them. This pass is out, and it's caught by Jeremiah Melvin, the wide receiver. We've got every game of the ACC Women's Lacrosse Championship getting ready for you right here on the ACC Network, and the ESPN app begins tomorrow, noon Eastern. First round matches. You got 9th-seeded Louisville taking on 8th-seeded Virginia Tech, and then it's the 7-10 game between Pitt and Clemson coming at you tomorrow afternoon, the ACC Women's Lacrosse Championship.
The other guy among those captains that you mentioned that I think is really worth pointing out is Nick Anderson, the strong safety. It's a guy who burst onto the scene, a former walk-on basically as a freshman, 3 picks against Virginia Tech, and everybody thought he's going to be the next big thing. He lost his starting job last year among a very crowded secondary, and he's back into that starting role now. And I think being elected a captain of this team after going through all that really shows how much he has the respect of everybody in this locker room.
Under 3 minutes to go here in this first half. At quarterback there is Hecklinski, Jeremy Hecklinski, who has played pretty well here in this game so far. He's 5 for 8 right now passing, 124 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And I believe 2 of those are throwaways and the other's a drop. I mean, this guy's playing at a really high level. Loves how he's seeing the game right now. See if he can convert on this big 3rd down, and he does.
Yep, nice catch inside the 40-yard line again, and it's picked up again by Melvin.
Melvin might be the guy, Mike. He might be the guy in a couple years. You talk about that basketball body, 6'5", shout out Fayetteville, the 910. This is a guy that, man, if he can fill out, it says he's 188. Man, you get him to close to 200 pounds, look out.
Who's he look a little bit like, Evac? Got a little A.T. Perry.
Little A.T. Perry, little throw it off the backboard windmill dunk. I mean, that's, geez Louise.
Right, guys? True freshman, 6'5", 188, and a Fayetteville, North Carolina. Pretty darn good. Tyler Walton is down right now, the injured player here for Team White. Redshirt freshman, defensive lineman.
This is, of course, the one thing you don't want to see in a spring game. If nothing else, you don't want to have an injury.
We'll step aside. We'll be back. Just under 2 minutes to go here in this first half. The Wake Forest spring game will continue after this from Winston-Salem. The redshirt freshman defensive lineman was injured during the last play. Needed a little bit of help off the field, kind of walking gingerly to the sideline. And, Eric, we've seen this game, obviously, in all, college football being toned down dramatically over the years. Because like you said, injuries, we're not even tackling here in the first half. We will start tackling in the second half. Want to get your take on that.
Yeah, you got to protect your guys. At the end of the day, it's a glorified practice. You got a lot of time. You do things where, okay, if it's a younger guy, I'm going to get him more reps. Older guys, I'm going to take care of them. Those miles on your body, so you got to take care of your vets.
Coming up on 1 minute to go in this first half. Jeremy Hecklinski, the quarterback, and the pass is caught. He's got E.J. Reed on that reception.
Just a casual fourth down conversion dot. Man, I love what we're seeing from this young cat, man. He's got great eyes. You see his head moving, going through his progressions. That means he understands the game, understands what we're trying to do, and he's been distributing the ball very well.
And you talk about, look, it's a glorified practice. It is to some extent. But for a guy like Hecklinski, this is the first time he's playing in the big stadium in front of some actual fans. And, boy, he looks like he's got nerves of steel right now. He is playing some stone-cold, hard football right now, making good, smart decisions.
Yeah, and I will say, guys, a little bit goes into that. He can't be touched, right? So you feel a little invincible. But he's getting the ball out quick. I do like the snap that we see from him, throwing the football, decision-makings, take off and run. Let's not just be a snowman back there, packing snowballs, holding on, and then getting hit. Let's make a decision and go. Big third down conversion right here.
Yeah, he's taking advantage of his opportunity. He's 8 for 12 passing today, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, faced with a 3rd down and 4 here. Talking about Hecklinski, the true freshman at 6 foot, 175 out of Marietta, Georgia. And on this 3rd down, goes to the corner. It's caught, and it is going to be a touchdown. And he's got Ian Versteeg on the catch for 6. Three touchdown passes today.
Really good job right here, guys. Again, as you see, this is a hole shot. It looked like that was supposed to be cover 2 based on how the defensive back reacts. He's saying, where's my safety? I don't think it would have mattered. The timing of it, the placement of the football, really good drive there by the young freshman. And this is what you love to see. This is the point of these type of practices, of this spring game here. Let's put guys in adverse situations. Let's see what they can do. Touchdowns on 3rd downs, sign me up.
But if you feel good about Michael Kern, and Hank Bachmeier's looked pretty solid, and then you got this kid, maybe all those concerns about quarterback were a bit overblown.
What a 180 from a year ago based on this. Again, this is practice. I understand it, but you get excited. When you have a guy that can distribute the ball, get it out quick, you start to feel a little better about yourself.
And we should say, this time last year, Wake Forest was ready to name Mitch Griffiths the starter because they had no reason to assume he was not going to be very good. Going into week 1 of the season, they had no reason to assume he wasn't going to be very good. So some of this, hey, it's good to get excited about a freshman. That's what March and April are for. I think if you even talk to Coach Ruggiero, they don't want to make any sort of snap decisions right now. A lot will go into this decision-making process that's likely to go well into August.
Well, like you guys are saying, too, understanding who's out there and injuries and whatnot, but still, that's the second-team offense right now in this team black going up against the first-team defense, okay? And Hecklinski, the true freshman quarterback, has thrown 3 touchdown passes to 3 different receivers. And, you're going to take that, so absolutely. Clock winding down here in the first half. And Team Black's going to take a 21-7 lead into the locker room here with our short halftime, and we'll be back to talk much more about this Wake Forest squad. You're watching the 2024 Wake Forest.
Back, all of us were talking about coming in, but your freshman Jeremy Hecklinski, how much, I know you're not looking to say he's into the starting conversation yet, but you recruited him here for a reason. What is it that has you so excited about his future?
I just think he has a lot of instincts, natural playmaking ability, spins the ball really well, good velocity. But he anticipates throwing lanes probably as well as any quarterback we've brought in here at a very early age.
Well, the other young guy that looked really sharp in that first half, Jermaine Melvin, maybe I'm jumping ahead here. He's got a little bit of the body type of a guy like A.T. Perry, big, inviting target. What's his future look like?
I think he'll be able to help us next year. That guy has shown up for 15 straight practices, never taken a day off, gets better every practice, his focus level, his maturity. He's someone I think he'll help us next year and probably play.
What do you do during halftime of a spring game? Like, is it just give a little speech and send them back out? Are you breaking things down and saying we want to do something else?
We eat some oranges too.
That's good. Got to stay hydrated. Thanks, Dave.
No doubt. Jeremiah Melvin, who you're talking about here from the first half, number 83, 4 catches, 49 yards so far. And it was Team Black that won the toss and they deferred, and they will receive the ball here to start the second half. E.J. Reed is back to return at the 1-yard line.
I'm disappointed that Dave Clawson was only eating oranges during halftime. I'd expect he'd have like a Michelin-starred catered meal.
Right? What's going on back there at the half?
You know what the secret go-to is? Rice Krispie treats.
Oh, excellent
Dude,
call.
that gets you energized to replicate these highlights that you saw in the first half.
Guys,
brother.
When I'm watching games, I add wet Rice Krispie treats, several of them at halftime, to give me the energy to watch another half of football on TV.
Big throws here from Heklinski in this first half. Jaden Gerard had one down the sideline, a big long catch, 87 for the touchdown you're seeing right here. And he had 3 total in that first half. One of them was set up. That's Andretti who had that catch. And then to the end zone, it was Ian Versteeg that scored for the touchdown. One of them set up from the interception from DeMarcus Rankin, and that was off the hands of Hank Bachmeier. And Mizell's the quarterback, and a good job here defensively by Irbirga. Mateen Irbirga, who was able to make that play, number 99, the defensive lineman. Eric, what'd you see first half so far?
You know, just a lot of guys, a lot of young wide receivers getting involved. You know, we knew about the established guys. We knew about the things that Taylor Marin is going to bring to the program, but an older guy who's going to be a big part of this year, Walker Merrill, looked fantastic. Can Horatio Fields take what he's doing right now, translate it to the fall? We need that. We need that guy to step up. And then some other young guys that, hey, who knows how a season goes? Injuries happen. Guys start playing better. You get your opportunity. That is all started right now. So I love what I've seen from the wide receiver corps.
Yeah, and Eric, you bring up an interesting point about this game is so much often these days about the young guys who are getting reps, and you're protecting some of your veterans. But one of the things that Dave Clawson said is when Wake Forest is a young team, they're probably not going to be a very good team. When we're an old team, we feel real good about where we're at. And they are an old team this year. Both of the guys battling for the quarterback job are 6th-year guys. They've got 5th and 6th-year guys across the O-line. They've got a veteran with a lot of snaps under his belt at running back, as you noticed, or as you talked about earlier. And then those wide receivers, I mean, it's a deep room, but it's also they've got some real established veteran talent in there.
Well, it's Melvin again on the catch that time. He's got 5 now for the day. But it's 4th down here for Team Black.
And a little bit different format here, Mike, right? We've got a running clock. We're going live. We're tackling to the ground. And you're probably going to see some of those vets that we've been talking about not go back in. So this is a lot of young guys getting some high-quality game speed reps.
This is where Eric leaves to go get lunch, too.
This is where, as an older player, David, I would be like, Coach, please. Because guess what? We didn't do that back in my day.
Dabo owes you some now.
He does. And NIL, too.
That's right.
Nick Regato caught that one, and it's going to be Team White in offense when we return after this.
Welcome back to Winston-Salem. I'm with Taylor Marin. Taylor, I noticed you. I think you're done for the day. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, star player, veteran guy, done for the day. We're going to talk to you a little bit after the game, but I noticed you have this iPad in your hands. What are we looking at? What is this? Is this something new for this game?
Yeah, so now we're able to get live footage of the game, so you come off the field after a series and you're able to get on the iPad and kind of see what the defense is giving you, what we're doing offensively, and, make adjustments in game, which is very unique.
And it's a little bit different than coming over here, hey, what'd you see? And you draw it up or coach draws it up and you're like, no, that's not it. You can look right at this. What has the adjustment been like for you in this game?
I mean, it's been very different, and I think in some ways really good, in some ways really bad. Most of the time I'm used to, seeing one thing on the field, coming, talking back to coach, talking to the quarterback, whoever, and then we don't see it again until Sunday. So being able to see it now is great, but at the same time, making sure that we're not, just in our heads all the time. We're still playing football, we're still playing fast. So yeah, it's pros and cons to it.
And this hasn't been, deemed legal yet in the fall and things of that nature. But give me a positive. What is something that you could see on here that you would not have the opportunity without this type of technology?
At wideout especially, it's important to be able to read leverages, read coverages. So, we're able to see things, what they're doing pre-snap versus post-snap, and that's the big adjustment for us. We do a lot of stuff pre-snap, making checks and things like that. So that's probably the biggest thing is being able to, actually see what it's looking like, not just from my eyeballs on the field, but also, from up top too. So what Coach R and staff are seeing up there.
Go, brother. I appreciate you. I've got a free bird question coming for you. I ran into your aunt at Putters. Get ready. Get ready.
That's good stuff. 3 catches for 38 yards for him today. Taylor Morin, who's a wide receiver for this group. Walker Merrill had just caught one in this previous series as well. We've seen a lot of him, number 4, but it's punt time here for Team White. And back at inside of the 5-yard line is where Team Black is going to start with this one.
And Mike, just to rehash on that video element real quick, and I know we should have probably tried to show you the screen a little bit, that we got the sun, you probably wouldn't have been able to see it. That is a game changer. I mean, I could not imagine having the capability to come straight over to the sideline and not have my coach or GA draw up everything wrong or me tell you and I'm wrong. We know exactly what just happened. And when guys come in, defensive coordinators come in with different plans, I played offensive line, and we can see that live, man. I just would love to have had.
So I should sell all my stock in tiny whiteboards.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, sell that and buy. I think it's DV Sports. My guy's right down here. Love that guy. Does a great job, and I just hope it keeps gaining traction and we get this in the game.
Let me ask you something else, Emac, because one bit of technology that has been approved for this season is the helmet sets where coaches can talk directly to the quarterback or one designated defender. How do you think that impacts the way that plays are called and offenses and defenses are run?
Well, we stopped hearing about Stein stealing, first of all, which is great.
I just love writing about it so much.
Which is great. And that all went to the NFL anyway, so we don't have to worry about that up in the north. But no, it's going to speed things up. It's going to be really instrumental to see, and quite frankly, it's a little comedic it's taken this long because it's not expensive, and it's something that it's just that little piece of equipment, a little speaker right there in your ear. And I've talked to EJ Manuel about this. I've talked to other quarterbacks who deal with this thing, and they said, listen, the best simplistic, be quick. That's key. Don't be in my ears saying, hey, watch the corner. Hey, watch this coverage. I got that. You taught me that Monday through Friday. Let's call the play, give a quick note, and let's get out.
Guys, is that like the NFL where it shuts off at a certain point, too, in the play clock? What's that so the fans understand, like, when you can talk to the quarterback like that?
Yeah, so my understanding is that they're going to be allowed, they will shut off at a certain point, but there will be an extended period where there will be one designated defender his helmet will be marked, and the quarterback where the coaches can talk to them. Now, I think you're going to see some different conversations between how different coaches want to use it. I mean, we're used to seeing, the big cards on the sideline with like 12 different ridiculous pictures on it. I think you're going to see a lot less of that. And again, to Emac's point, this is a thing that has been discussed ad nauseum for years. The NFL's been using it for years. I think, frankly, a lot of coaches that I've talked to have been scratching their head about what took so long.
Reading right here, coach-to-player communication will be shut off with 15 seconds left on the play clock or the snap of the ball, whichever comes first. So that's just something to keep in mind for this upcoming season. So that's interesting, and it's going to be certainly welcome, like you said, guys, instead of all those different. But we enjoyed some of those signs and some weird logos, right, that you'd see out there by different teams.
You got to throw a laptop on there. You got to throw some fun shots at the other team.
Now Eric's face is going to be the craziest thing you'll see on a sideline.
Hey, the one thing is it is a loss of sponsorship opportunity. Okay, so that's a miss that we had on the sideline there.
Team Black here controls it as they lead it 21-7. This catch is made here by Landon Baker. Taking a highlight back here, this last play over the middle with a wide receiver, Melvin, who we were talking about a bunch here today. Jeremiah Melvin, a little bit banged up, number 83, after that last pass that he tried to get. See if he's going to be okay. Here comes pressure, going to get a sack. And that's Mateen Baroga on the play, or Ibiraga again on the sack, that time for Team White. Ibiroga, who's been really nice today. Junior out of Clarksburg, Maryland, transferred to Georgetown. 4th and 13 now. And we'll take a break. 6:52 to play here in the third quarter. The Wake Forest spring game continues after this. Coming up today, 3 more games highlighting our spring football schedule right here on the ACC Network and ACC Network Extra. We got Florida State at 4 o'clock, Duke at 6, and then Syracuse at 7. Hank Bachmeier right now at quarterback here once again for Team White. And on the run, gets up to the 39-yard line, picks up 5 yards. So guys, continuing our conversation about the tablets here, reading the language, teams in all football divisions will have the option of using tablets to view in-game video. Up to 18 tablets will be distributed on the sideline, locker room, coaches' booths to study the game and the feed, as well as camera angles from a team's sideline and end zone. The tablets can be viewed by all team personnel, but cannot connect to other devices, project larger images, or provide data and analytics.
AKA, we're in, Mike. We're happening. And, you know, that was a little bit of breaking news here. We've got Keith Lowe, DV Sports, here on the sideline. And he said, hey, we're at the 1 yard line, man. This is happening. And they're very excited, NCAA approval, and cannot wait to see this instrument in the game. So we'll talk with Keith a little bit later and just get his insight on this whole process. But, man, this is going to be a game changer.
I'm excited to see Dave Doran see Dabo Sweeney with laptops on the
Hey,
side.
did you get my laptop joke earlier? I already got that in there.
So good.
Now it's an iPad.
We haven't had many flags in this game here today. That's one thing we have not seen a lot. It's only the second flag, I believe, of this game, and it was Deshaun Jones that time, the defensive back, number 10 for Team Black, and the intended wide receiver was Nick Regano. So they'll bring it up to the 46-yard line. Bachmeier today, 14 of 25, 171 yards, a touchdown, and 1 interception as he takes it from the shotgun here on this series. And guns it over the middle. The catch is made. A big hit taken as well, as that was E.J. Reed on the reception. A gain of 23 yards. Big stick there from Devon Patterson.
I wonder if Devon Patterson was waiting that first half thinking, man, I can't wait till we can tackle.
I guarantee you, man. And he's a guy, when you just look at him, you look at his build, you look at what he brings to this team, he is a big athlete, nasty guy, explosive, very fast, and he's young. I cannot wait to see the next steps from him. I mentioned earlier, reminds me a ton of Malik Mustafa, who they had last year, just an absolute war daddy.
Yeah, and Patterson probably would have played last year, but dealt with some early injuries, so they ended up redshirting him. But him and linebacker Aiden Hall both came in with last year's recruiting class, and Dave Clawson's really high on both of them as the future of this Wake Forest defense. He said, those are 2 guys, if they're not all conference in a couple of years, we probably did something wrong. They both have so much talent that it's really up to the coaches just to make sure they don't screw it up.
Patterson, the redshirt freshman from Miami, Florida. This pass over the middle is incomplete. Guys, we've seen a few delayed handoffs and then also actual fakes but passes by Bachmeier today in terms of the offense that you're witnessing.
Yeah, you interested in that, Mike? It look a little weird, look a little different.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I've heard it called a ton of different things. Slow mesh, hang and bang. I love it, man. It puts the defense in a really adverse situation when you execute it at a high level. These guys are able to really execute that and make it tough, because at the end of the day, you're trying to force the eyes. You're trying to force, you know, bad habits from the linebackers, from the DBs to think, hey, we're running the football right here. Come on up. And as soon as you do, there's an RPO going right behind your head.
I think Dave Clawson and Warren Ruggiero get a little upset when their offense gets boiled down to just the slow mesh offense. There's a lot more to what Wake does, but it is such a unique wrinkle compared to what you see from other teams. And when you have a new quarterback like Bachmeier coming into the system, I imagine that's probably one of the parts that's sort of the hardest to adjust to, because it takes some confidence as the quarterback to stand in there as the pass goes around you and wait to make that decision.
There's been 4 sacks today by Team Black. We're under 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. It's 4th and 9. Bachmeier coming off the field. We'll get a field goal attempt here at 37 yards. And the 37-yarder is good. Team White adds 3 more. It's 21-10. And coming up tomorrow, we've got every game of the ACC Women's Lacrosse Championship for you right here on the ACC Network.
Some history on hills.
Love me a hill in a football stadium.
My understanding is you liked going down them more than the other direction.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, hey, I ain't running no hills. I run down a hill all
There he
day.
goes.
And it's more of like a jog. It's not a jog. It's not a sprint.
That's a soft J.
That's right.
Caleb Carlson was the one that made the kick, that last field goal for Wake Forest. And that's one we talked a lot about the quarterback competition. There's a little bit of a kicker competition going on at Wake Forest, too. Matthew Dennis missed, I think, his last 4 at the end of last season. That position has been such a steady Eddie situation for Wake Forest really throughout Dave Clawson's tenure. Everybody remembers Nick Skiba, who I think was here for roughly 27 years and never missed a field goal. That's one, particularly if you think you're a team that's going to be playing in some close games, you don't want to be questioning your field goal kicker, and I think that's one of those other positions that not going to get a lot of talk during the spring, but it is one that I'm sure Dave Clawson is looking to find a serious answer to.
Yeah, thank you for that info, David, because they're not wearing any numbers here today, so it's a little tougher in terms of
You got to earn that jersey on special teams.
Right. A little inside information down there. Thank you. Charlie Gilliam is the quarterback right now for Team Black here, number 10, and for the first time today. Redshirt freshman from McDonough, Georgia. And on the throw is deflected and still caught close to midfield, and it is Melvin again who's back in, Jeremiah Melvin. It's deflected that time by Darius Jones, the linebacker, and Melvin still made the catch.
Really good job here, just concentrating, man. Seeing that ball come in, it's an adverse situation. Ball gets tipped, and your big freshman wide receiver comes down with it. I'm loving this kid, man, early. I know it's spring ball. I know it is what it is, but he's making the most of his opportunity today.
Andrade here with a carry and gets across midfield and to the 49-yard line. Jones there makes the tackle. And that's going to wind down the end of the third. So we've completed 3 here in the Wake Forest spring game. Team Black leads Team White 21-10. Back with the fourth quarter from Winston-Salem after this on the ACC Network. Welcome back. Start of the fourth quarter here in the 2024 Wake Forest football spring game. 21-10. Team Black leads Team White. Mike Corey with Eric McLean and David Hale both on the sidelines here with you today. As a second down run by Ryan DuPont. It's going to bring up 3rd down and 8.
All right, Mike, you got a DuPont picking up a run. You are in Delaware. I graduated from Delaware. Warren Ruggiero graduated from Delaware. And, of course, the DuPonts, I think, own half of Delaware.
The Blue Hens are all over the place in the state of Delaware. Correct here today. You got it.
And that concludes the most Delaware talk that has ever occurred on the ACC Network.
We actually had a lot of talk of that in our conference call with Coach Clawson because he was former coach at Richmond, and I had been in Delaware for the time doing radio, and we had a lot of talk about that. And when he first was coaching back then, and some pretty darn good players coming out of FCS and those schools for sure.
I think it's one of the reasons that Clawson and this staff are so good at identifying developmental talent, because he's found it over the years at every level. I mean, Clawson has won at every level of football, but he's really good at finding those guys who have the skill set and just need a little bit of time and muscle mass to develop. And they've done that at Wake Forest as well as they've done it anywhere.
Yeah, and David, we saw it too, right, in terms of the recruiting class for 2025. What was it, number 15 in the country? And on that list, it was like all 3-star players, right? And then, talking about getting that development for talented players for sure, and they've done that so far here. So we'll see what happens in this upcoming season. Just underway here in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, Mike, to your point, I mean, there's a whole bunch of 3-stars out there.
Right.
A lot of schools get them. It's the difference between are you getting the right 3-stars, and so sometimes that does not show up in the recruiting rankings. When you look at Wake, and year after year, they're somewhere probably in the high 40s, 50s, maybe low 60s even. But this is a school that is putting dudes in the NFL. That is they're going to bowl games. That's because they're finding the right 3-star guys.
Kalen Carson, Malik Mustafa, and Michael Juergens, cornerback, safety, center, respectively, from last year, and getting ready for the next level. Here's a pass over the middle. It's caught. And it's Wesley Strobel that time, the wide receiver, number 48. Third down, pass is caught, and it's a first down across the 30-yard line. He's got Walker Merrill. And we have Wake Forest's athletic director, John Curry, down the field.
Come on, Mike. I love it. John, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today. I walked around this campus earlier, and I'm just so amazed all the time. I see that great facility. How about that, what Wake Forest is able to bring, and how instrumental is that nowadays?
Well, certainly from across our campus, we've always been known to having a beautiful academic campus, but we wanted our athletic facilities to reflect the quality of our academic buildings, and that's what's happened over the last 10 years. You know, we've completed $175 million in athletic facility construction, and you guys have been here, and you've been everywhere else too, Eric. You know that what we've got at Wake Forest is at the top of the league.
Yeah, John, it's interesting because you guys have done such a good job of fundraising for that and building here, and I agree with you. I've seen all of them. There's the facilities at Wake Forest are on par with all of those. But there's another facet to getting fundraising now. That's NIL. We've heard Dave Clawson talk about how important it is to keep and retain the talent that you're finding here, because that's been his bread and butter. How has your job changed in the NIL era?
Well, a big part of it is just education and helping people understand how things have evolved and the opportunities that have expanded for student athletes. And I've read some of the stories that you've written about how NIL is helping student athletes making the decision to stay in school and go ahead and complete their education. And what we're doing at Wake Forest is really the Wake Forest way, where you've got Wake Forest football student athletes like they were last night, meeting with Wake Forest football alums who are out in business all over the country and the world, and really gaining the lifetime affiliations rather than just thinking about it just as a one-time, one-off thing.
And the interesting thing to me, John, is what you're allowed to do, which some people, and it varies state to state, some people know, so some people don't. Dive in for our listeners here, our viewers. Are you guys able to facilitate deals? Are you able to help these student athletes with deals? What are you allowed and not allowed to do NIL-wise?
Well, we have a comprehensive infrastructure at Wake Forest that really we started 3 or 4 years ago. Now, everybody in the country has, tried to figure it out. And right since July 1, 2021, when the rule changed, there's been a gradual, fits and starts of figuring out what works, what matters, what doesn't matter. And we've all worked to learn from each other's mistakes to figure out the right things. But ultimately, my personal responsibility is really of an educational thing, and then to make sure we have the support for our licensing programs, right? So all of our teams, baseball, field hockey, soccer, we have group licenses and sell jerseys and name jerseys. You can buy one at our baseball game tonight of our baseball student athletes. So doing all those things, put that infrastructure in place for student athletes to have those opportunities, and then people to know that just like Wake Forest has risen to the level from an academic prestige, from a facility infrastructure standpoint, we've got the best coaches in the conference across the board. We do NIL too.
You talk about education, and as a lot of things are shifting in college football, and we hear it all the time, including certainly around the ACC. What does the future look like? Part of what I think you've been doing lately, and very effectively, is trying to educate that the brand of Wake Forest is better than it's ever been. What has that been about for you?
Well, it's not just the brand of Wake Forest. It's really the fact that we are not going to abandon academic primacy as part of the student-athlete experience opportunity at Wake Forest. Our football team has a 100% graduation rate. Our men's basketball team set another record this year with 7 academic all-conference players, including a number who had transferred to Wake Forest from other schools. So that's just going to be one of the things that's different here. I do believe that we've seen around the country. I saw, I can't remember who wrote the article the other day, but talking about, does that matter anymore? And there's some places where the scores and the results indicate that it really doesn't matter. that's not us. We're doubling down on the distinctiveness. But when you choose to come to Wake Forest, whether you're here for a semester, a year, or 6 years, that academic part is going to be a constant the whole time.
John, we appreciate you. Thank you for the insight. Always great seeing you, brother.
Thanks,
I just
Eric.
want to say thank you for reading my articles. I'm glad somebody is. I appreciate that.
I didn't know
Check
that.
it out.
That's great stuff, guys. John Curry, the athletic director here for Wake Forest. And, you know, I mean, you think about it, right, with all this kind of stuff going on, and you heard from him, and he's pretty adamant about it. It's kind of standing your ground, right? You stand your ground on how, Eric, about how great this university is here, and you're like, you know what, we're going to figure it out. You're going to get the NIL going a little bit too, but it's not just for football. I mean, you hear him talking about all sports. That's something you talk to the AD, right, and you think, okay, hey, you get a lot to manage here. I mean, it's not easy. From the 33-yard line, it is first down here for Team Black. That leads it 21-10 with 9.5 to go in this contest. Catch is made. Got Ian Versteeg, who had a touchdown catch earlier. Makes this grab here. And a pass over the middle. Versteeg again, the intended target, overthrown that time from Charlie Gilliam. David, talking to John there, you know, the stuff that he discussed about how much they're doing here and how much it's, you know, transitioning for this program, helping them both on and off the field. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and look, I think one of the things that he alluded to there that is really an important distinction at a place like Wake Forest is that, and this is, in my opinion, one of the things that Dave Clawson has done so well in building the football program, but it extends well beyond that, is embrace who you are, embrace what makes Wake Forest unique. And in this current age that we're in, where unfortunately we're talking about super leagues and what the revenue is for everybody and what realignment's going to look like, and places like Wake Forest that have a relatively small enrollment, that are private schools, they tend to get sort of overlooked. And I think what John Curry is getting at there is like, look, there is a version of college football that we all know and love that is in part about academics, and we're not going to throw that away here just because the rest of the world seems to be moving in another direction. I think that can be a real advantage for them.
Interception, Mark Rogowski here, the defensive back, and it was deflected by Kyler Watson.
What a great job there, getting your hands on the football, but then a white jersey on defense making a play, baby. Come on, that looks like a wide receiver, maybe a defensive back, maybe a specialist, making plays, making the most of his opportunity. That's super impressive to see that awareness right there.
Great job defensively. He gets it back for Team White here. That trails it 21-10. We've got just under 8 minutes to go in the game, and they'll have it at Team Black's 42-yard line. And Bachmeier, who's been in quarterback here all day today, and throws it over the middle. Low catch is made. They're going to get about 6 yards out of it to Igwebe. Second down. Bachmeier's pass, incomplete. Looking for E.J. Reed, and good defensive play that time there by Jamari Kalasker, the defensive back. And how about this league here this year, guys, coming up here? Each team's going to play 8 conference games. Each team's got 2 bye weeks, excluding Florida State and Georgia Tech, and then the 3 new schools added with Cal, Stanford, and SMU.
Yeah, it's going to be fun times, man. I mean, you got these additions, you got the schedule change, all kinds of different things. It's something that's going to be really unique and something that I just can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Bachmeier's pass incomplete for Horatio Fields, who had a bunch of earlier catches here today. Capone Blue was defending on the play. Let's go back downstairs to David and Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Here with Jasheen Davis. Jasheen, I've got to tell this story, brother. 4 years ago, I'm watching tape, and all of a sudden I see 30. blasting off the screen. You have a high motor. You're an athletic guy. Where does all that come from? Why do you play so hard?
Man, I just love the game of football, man. I've been playing this since I was 6 years old. So just having the opportunity to just show it at the highest level, it's been a blessing. I'm just glad to be out here with my teammates and, just have fun with it. Because at the end of the day, it's a grind, it's a process. But at the same time, you just got to have fun with it. So.
Speaking of that high motor, you should have seen him sprinting across the field to come
I was
talk to us.
impressed.
That's a great A effort there. Jasheen, last year was a good year for you individually, but the team did not put up the win-loss record that I'm sure you were all hoping for. What have you seen this spring that maybe gives you some hope? Things are going to look a lot more like the way we're used to seeing Wake Forest.
So, last year, we did come up short a lot of games, but this year the mantra is earn it. So we just got to earn everything we do. Coming back in January, working out in the offseason, we earned everything we did. And I feel like that we took that same mindset in the spring ball. So, like I said, it's just been fun out here, getting better with the guys and stuff like that. And the main thing is to get better every day. So,
I brought up your motor. You have a great skill set with your hands, great footwork. What is the best part of your game in your opinion? What do you love to do? When you see it, a different look, you're like, okay, it's game time.
Well, like I said, I just love the game of football. So just being out there in general, this is my playground. So I got 2 hours. It's just, whatever going on in the outside world, just shut that out and just take it all out on the field. So to be honest, I like to just, get better every day, like I said, and no matter who I face, at the same time, we all got to get better. So my mindset is just, to dominate. And by dominating, you just got to stay consistent and just read your keys. So
what does that look like for you? I mean, to talk about getting better, is that getting stronger, faster, identifying different things? For you to take another step, what would that look like?
Well, like I said, just getting in the film room, at this level, everybody's good, everybody's fast, everybody's strong. But just to get that one step ahead, it's just getting in the film room, and just reading your keys. Like I said, I feel like that, everybody has tendencies. And when you pick up on those tendencies, then I feel like that you expose them in a way. So, I just feel like that, you got to get stronger, got to get faster. And, I embrace the process, man. So, like I said, just get in the film room. That's something that I've been trying to do a lot more and stuff like that, just get in the film room, because at the end of the day, I got to be a student of the game. So.
Well, talking about the guys who are getting better, this defensive line is a bunch of guys who have already churned out some good performances over the last few years. A veteran group. How has that affected the locker room? What does it mean for you and the position group in general? Are you sort of taking on a leadership role within that defense?
Yes, sir. So, I was blessed to be in the position to be a captain for this year's team. So I'm thankful for my teammates.
Congratulations, by the way.
Appreciate
Congratulations.
Well, yes, sir. So I feel like that, the games are won and lost in the trenches. And being that, we're veterans and stuff like that, we have to, the team's going to rely on us to make plays and stuff like that, establish the line of scrimmage. Because at the end of the day, like I said, the game is won in the trenches. So just being able to just get better with my teammates and stuff like that. And, we have fun out there. So that's the only thing that we can do.
Jasheen, we appreciate your time. Coming to a backfield near you. Bad man, number 30. Appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One of the 6 captains named for 2024 for Coach Clausen's group. The senior, Jasheen Davis, out of Snellville, Georgia. 5th leading tackler last year, guys, with 7.5 sacks. That was number 1 on the team as well.
Yeah, and talking to a defensive coordinator, Brad Lambert, he said that I feel good about a defense when we're strong up the middle, and that defensive line I think is very good. They've got Dylan Hazen at middle linebacker, who they feel really, really good about. Nick Anderson, we talked about a little bit earlier at strong safety. It's a group that up the middle, they're veteran, they're big, they're strong, they're athletic. It's a group that I think Lambert in particular is very excited about. Now, again, the defense actually made some real strides last year, too. We can look at the win-loss record, but one of the things going into last season that was their biggest concern was cut back on explosive plays. They cut back by almost 2 a game on explosive plays. So this year, the thing that they've been talking about is third downs, and they've run practices throughout the spring to try and put an extra emphasis on that. And again, as Brad Lambert said, when you're good up the middle, those third down situations become 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and not big long ones that you gotta, or those third down situations are 3rd and longs, and not the 3rd downs 1 and 3rd down and 2 that are tough to stop.
Zach Igwebe, who makes the play here, 15 yards for Team White and a first down to the 40-yard line.
How about that stiff arm, Mike? Come on, baby. I like the physicality.
Right back to him, and he gets another 5, make it 6 yards up to the 46-yard line. Spring football and the NFL draft prep coverage continues with our ACC Huddle Spring Recap Show. That's followed by the NFL draft preview as well. Comes your way Monday night at 7 o'clock Eastern. There you are, Eric. Football, we got you covered right here on the ACC Network.
Come on, baby. We just work around here, my man.
Here is Walker Merrill, and he makes the play here for Team White. Gets it down to the 22-yard line. That's a gain of 33. So Hank Bachmeier here in company with a late drive, down by 11. Merrill goes out, and Horatio Fields is back in, the number 5, the wide receiver here. Let's see what Team White has, still with 2:44 to go. There it is, pass deflected down at the line of scrimmage. All right, guys, quarterback-wise, Bachmeier, 23 of 38 today, 303 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He's played the whole game.
And that's probably by design. Let's get as long a look at Hank Bachmeier as we can and have a good idea of what we have in him going into the offseason. It's been some up and down for him today, but I think he's mostly looked sharp, mostly made some good decisions. And look, Emac, you can attest to this. For the quarterbacks, it's not just what you look like out on the practice field, but as we approach the summer, it is how do you command the rest of the locker room when the coaches aren't there and you're making sure guys are showing up for workouts, all of that stuff.
No question about it. We'll talk about it more on the other side here in Winston-Salem.
Fans, we have an update from action earlier today at the ACC.
Welcome back to Winston-Salem. Wake Forest spring game here with 2 minutes to go. It is 3rd and 3 for Team White. They're at the 15-yard line, trailing Team Black here by 11 points. Hank Bachmeier, QB looking, standing in, and here comes pressure, going to blow it dead. He gets sacked. And it's going to be B.J. Williams this time, 43 for Team Black coming in to make the play. It's going to be a loss of about 6 yards, and it'll be 4th down, and here comes the field goal unit. Also new this year for this upcoming season for college football, the 2-minute warning, which you all know, of course, the NFL does, and now it's going to be in college football. 2 minutes at the end of the first half, and of course in the 4th quarter, and that's going to affect your timeout calls, right, in late half and game situations, guys. So that's a new one coming up this year.
Adds a little strategy there, and just going back to that play, I mean, you do not want to take a sack in this situation. 3rd down. We've got points. Obviously, you're not out of field goal range, but you want to protect the ball first. Don't take a sack, and let's get it going. And now we've got a delay of game penalty, but they're letting it roll. Maybe a quick draw there. But I'd love to see a quicker decision, out of your quarterback. Get that ball out. Let's get it moving, convert.
And that was Matthew Dennis. I am the kicker extraordinaire expert in here, but a good one to see him get one through.
All right, let's talk the schedule.
I think is going to be up there in the top of the country with all the guys they have coming back. A real test for Wake Forest.
When we were talking about this before the game, this feels like the most wide open the top of the league has been in a long time. I think you can make some really strong cases for a number of teams. And Wake Forest certainly, I mean, if they get better quarterback play, can be in that conversation as well.
No question about it. No question about it.
Well, both of you guys have been talking about the potential quarterback of the future here with Jeremy Heklinski, who has played really well here today. Number 12, he's got 3 touchdown passes. And a lot of good experience here in the spring and in this game here today. And gets rid of this one.
And Mike, a lot of people might be, flustered or upset by that. That's a great play. Get the ball out.
It was what you were just talking about, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's not go backwards. Save it. Don't make a bad decision. Turn it over. Now we have 3rd and long. We've got a lead here. Don't forget about that. This score does matter. So you might see him be a little conservative. I'd love to see him try to convert, though.
And this is part of a designed 2-minute drill for Wake Forest. I think obviously a very good opportunity to get to see how the quarterback handles high-stress situation.
And right here is perfect. So you got to stop. 4th down. The white team is getting the ball back. Down 8 here. What do you do? And this is perfect. Like you script a little bit, but for it to end this way, this is awesome. This is what you get to see, and hopefully we see a little tempo, high execution. And man, as an offensive lineman, 2-minute drill was my favorite part of the game.
Because you knew you were done soon?
Well, we knew what we were doing, and the defense didn't, and we're going 1,000 miles an hour. We're trying to go fast. We're in 2-point stances. We're looking around, and we're executing quickly.
And they're just going to go after it here on 4th down and 10 as Hecklinski rolling. Flag is thrown in the backfield, and the pass is caught. And would be a first down up to the 48-yard line. It would be Christian Green on the catch, but I believe this is going to be coming back here.
And this is the power that you have as the head coach. You say, pick that flag up. We're keeping going.
Season 2.
Hey, but he's not an offensive guy. Come on, coach. You lied to me.
There was no hold there.
I like it as an offensive line.
And Hecklinski going to be taken down for a yard loss in the play. But like you were saying, Eric, with you're in the pocket. Hey, pressure coming in. Got to get rid of it. Got to be a receiver in the area, right? If you get out of the pocket, just got to get it back to the line of scrimmage, and that's in your mind because sometimes throwing that ball away is the best play you can make, like you said.
100%. 100%. It's not a bad decision.
Spring game's going to come to an end here today, and Team Black with the 21.